Hi guys, and welcome to Katie's Insight, where I give my insight on all kinds of things, whether it's news, politics, finance, business, current events, and most importantly right now, stimulus. And we're going to continue on this stimulus train because I have what I think is fantastic news, and it's coming from stimulus checks. But before we go into it, I want to kind of go ahead and just dive into right now what is going on when it comes to stimulus, where we are at with everything. Now, before we begin, guys, I want to give you guys an update when it comes to our gift card giveaway. So if you guys don't know, we're doing a gift card giveaway. This is so simple. This is all you have to do to be eligible for the gift card. Like our video, subscribe, hit notifications, comment, and share the content. Boom, you're entered. We're only doing it for one video right now, and that is a video from 2 days ago, and I'm going to be picking a winner sometime today. So make sure and watch every video from start to finish to see if you have won. Somewhere in the videos I will announce them, or announce them. There is one. Now, guys, if you want to help me continue to do these giveaways, this is what you can do. Help me grow this channel as quickly as you can, and here are things you can do to do that. Like every video you see. Make sure and like up the videos. Subscribe. Hit notifications so you can be notified daily when it's coming to the pipeline for you and your stimulus money. So if you've subscribed, make sure and hit that notification button. Comment. The more comments you do, the better, because the more comments you do, the more chances you are entered to win, because I pick from the comments. So comment as much as you can and share this content with as many people as you know that are struggling right now, or just share it anywhere so we can get more viewership, because if I can get this channel built quickly, I can do more giveaways. Right now, it's not financially feasible for me to do it in every video, unfortunately. But if you guys can help me grow this channel, we can get there and I can keep giving you guys money again. So good luck on that. And then guys, if you want to find me on Facebook, Katie's Insight, like the page, join the group, Katie's Corner. We'll be changed to Katie's Insight soon. Go in there, ask all the stimulus questions that you want. Okay, on with the show. Well, as everybody knows, President Trump got the virus, yet a few days later, he seems to be doing well. Now, we are not going to fully know until probably the end of this weekend or Monday. Monday, he'll be out of the woods, but so far, he seems to be symptom-free from what we're told and doing well. A couple of weird things about it. He is not yet gone live, which is very, very interesting. A lot of people have concerns about him not wanting to go live. Some of his behavior seems to be even more erratic lately. And I'll be honest, we know he'll do a tweet storm, right? And look, that's his right, that's his prerogative. He can do whatever he wants. But even me scrolling through his Twitter trying to find certain things, I was just like, holy moly, how are you getting any work done? This is non-stop tweeting. Yet, there's a lot going on in the government. So all of this stuff surrounding the Mueller investigation and surrounding, them saying that Russia had ties, or that Trump had ties to Russia, and that swayed the election. There's a lot of documentation that's coming out proving it to be completely false. And we've known that for a while, but they tried to impeach him on something that was completely false. So him getting the virus in tandem with that happening when that was such a big deal back in 2016, it looks like the information that's coming out is saying that Hillary and the CIA devised this plan to try to distract from her issue of her keeping her emails. And it was all BS, all of it. So on the one hand, on a very microcosm level, when I've been on YouTube previously, I had been in a situation, where I had people looking at me and scrutinizing me, making things up about me repeatedly. And then when you would, when you had the evidence that wasn't correct and it came out, you would feel vindicated and want to speak. So I can understand his frustration on this, right? And I can understand him wanting to speak up. The problem is we're 3 weeks before the election, and right now, everything that he's doing, the majority of the actions are making him look kind of unstable or not, and that's the hard part. Even if, I'm not even saying his actions are unstable, I'm just saying to the American people, this is what it looks like. He's had several different gaffes. So for instance, he leaves the Walter Reed Hospital and goes on a joyride waving to people. That looks horrible. You're supposed to be quarantining, and to the perception of the American public and the media, who's going to twist everything he does anyways, you're putting your Secret Service people in danger, even though they're around him all the time anyway. So I don't think it necessarily matters, but it's how it looks to the American people. Then he comes back to the White House, goes up to the White House, takes his mask off, waves at everybody. Dude, you still have the virus. Well, there's more stuff that's coming out. Then he tweeted that he was basically canceling the stimulus talks. And I was right in my assessment. I know why he did it. It was a negotiation tactic, right? We've gone over this. However, it backfired, because what happened was it made it to the American public look like he was the reason stimulus isn't happening, where for months, to those of us who've been studying this and following this, we can understand it looks like it's the Republicans and the Democrats. I would say specifically the Democrats. We know the Republicans are full of crap, but the Democrats are full of crap too. They just act like they're not, and we have to catch them lying. So all of a sudden, the stimulus not working out put all of the blame on him. Now he clarified those tweets, and what he was doing, it was a negotiation tactic to put pressure on Pelosi. Happily, I can say it looks like it's working. They're back to negotiating, and it seems like they're closer than ever. They keep shortening that gap of how much money they're apart. I think right now it's between like 1.7 trillion and 2.2 trillion. So they're getting closer, which is fantastic, because before there was like 2.5 trillion between them, and it was just too much. So then here's another one, which I talked about in detail yesterday. So Biden's camp and the presidential debate, like I forget the National Committee for the Presidential Debates, decided they're going to do debates virtually. And the president was all ready to go, super excited about doing debates, and then he said, not doing it, no. And I can go back and forth. I can see both points of view. I can understand it's not really a debate. It doesn't really look like a debate. You need two people in front of each other. I totally agree. And I think a virtual debate would be lame. However, it would maybe stop both people from interrupting. It could shut both of them up because they both were interrupting. But it wouldn't. And on top of that, like, if I'm going to be honest, that election, the debate, I didn't get to cover the debate between Biden and Trump. But when I looked at it into detail, they both were being stupid. They both made mistakes. But it did seem like the person who was moderating was very much leaning on Biden. It was constantly Trump interrupting, but nobody said it about Biden, even though Biden did it too. Trump probably more so. Let's be honest. I'm going to be as unbiased as possible. But Trump then says, nope, not going to do it. And then like an hour later announces instead, I'm going to hold a rally. And then earlier that morning with Maria Bartiromo, he says, I wanted to hold a rally last night and tonight. Now, here's the thing. To the American people, it looks irresponsible. You've had the virus, and now you want to go around a bunch of people. You have the virus, and now you want to go debate live. Now, on the flip side, apparently his doctors have been testing him, and he's not showing any signs of the virus. Now, how it works apparently is when the virus is in you and it's shedding, that's when you can transmit it. So from what they can tell from the reports we're getting so far, but then again, who knows what's real on any side of the government? Who knows if this is real? But the reports that we're getting are that Trump is not contagious anymore. But still, every move he's making right now, right now it looks like L's in the eyes of the American people 3 weeks before an election. So this situation is getting very, very crazy, and it keeps getting crazier. I'm going to report on this later, but we're going to do a deep dive into Nancy Pelosi. Good Sunday morning. Get my quivers, Nancy. Because apparently, and this is driving me nuts, y'all. This is absolutely driving me nuts. Nancy Pelosi has spoken out. I'm sorry. I'm getting so irritated. And instead of putting more energy into trying to get this situation solved with stimulus, because remember, we could have unemployment stimulus up into December. You guys could be having that $600 right now. She said no. But instead of focusing all her effort on that, she's putting out a bill all about President Trump's cognitive health. I am not kidding. We're going to look into that later. It's driving me nuts. But let's talk stimulus. Where are we at with stimulus checks? Because I think for many of us, that's most important. What's happening? What's coming to the pipeline? So let me go ahead and go over stimulus checks. So where we're at right now is that President Trump has been saying he wants bigger, better stimulus checks, bigger package. We've even heard different places like the Problem Solver Caucus, Larry Kudlow, Mark Meadows also talked about him wanting bigger stimulus checks. Right now, as you guys know, they're at $1,200. Now, we don't know what is going to happen between now and the election. There are two ways this can go, I can see. Trump could step up because the government isn't doing what they're supposed to do, be the victor, find a loophole to get people stimulus checks, even if it's not legal. What's going to happen? You think the American people are going to back like the Democrats and other people trying to put him in jail or sue him? We're not, like, when he's helping us, it would be a horrible look, and it would give him a win before the election. However, I could also see him saying, well, I can't get checks in time to people, so this doesn't matter to me anyway, because he was saying, we're not going to do stimulus talks, we're going to focus all on getting our Supreme Court justice through, because that's what we can do. But he's since rescinded on that. I could also see him from a marketing PR standpoint saying, okay, let's go ahead and look at this, and let's back off, because I need to have checks in their hands with my signature, and if I can't do that, then there's no point in pushing this. I would hope that's not the case, But at this point, he's been teasing for a while he's going to do executive orders when it comes to stimulus checks. He's like, I don't know that I can do it, but there's a theory that I can. And I think at this point, President Trump, I'm going to address him like he's watching. He's so busy, he would never watch these videos, and I don't blame him. Go get your stuff done, boo-boo. I mean, welcome, President Trump. Imaginary President Trump, if you ever watched, not that he would. But he needs to do executive orders, and he needs to do it yesterday. This is getting ridiculous. Like, people absolutely need the help. This is insane. But there are a couple bright spots when it comes to stimulus checks, and this is what I was going to go over in this video. So, millions of people have not gotten a stimulus check yet, which is, again, disgraceful, disgusting, disheartening. Millions of people, and many people who were on disability, SSI, SSA, ssdi, railroad, different benefits, they didn't get anything, and the process was incredibly confusing, and many of these people they don't do taxes because they don't have to with the income that they have. So many people didn't get their checks, and this is what we were told. We were told, okay, if you didn't do the non-filers tool on the irs.gov website, which I will have links in the description, I'll have all that to you, and that's for people who don't file taxes, but they can go ahead and put the information in, because per the government, it's like, if you don't file taxes, we don't know what your income is, who you are, do you have dependents? So everybody was told you have X amount of time, and I believe the cutoff date was May, and then you just have to go ahead and you have to file in 2020. You have to do taxes in 2020 to claim everything, or sorry, you have to file taxes in 2021 to claim a stimulus check or checks for 2020, which was very unfair to a lot of people. Well, because of that, they brought it back, and they had a cutoff date for, I think it was October 13th or 15th. They have extended that date for you guys, number one, which I have a video about, but I'm going to go into detail about, but number two, this one is huge, and I'll be honest, what I'm about to tell you, I'm personally very happy by, because this is something I'm personally very upset by. So there was a rule that if you are incarcerated, if you are a prisoner, you cannot get stimulus checks, which constantly had me scratching my head, because I was like, why? Why would that like, if you're an American citizen, I mean, you're serving your time, why shouldn't you? And y'all, if you really want my opinion of our prison system, I feel like it is a form of modern day slavery for minorities. I feel like it's just a way around being able to do slavery and cheap to free labor again. And I felt this for a long time. Look at, and you know, I know it's not just minorities. I know it happens to Caucasian people, but let's be honest, stop and frisk, those programs that they've had, targeted minorities. When they need to get their numbers up for arrests, for going after people, where do they go? They go in minority communities. And I've heard the argument is like, well, there's higher crime there. Well, when there's less money and there's less opportunity for people, there's always going to be higher crime. That's always how it's going to go. It's not because those people are just prone to higher crime. It's what we have as a society systemically done to those areas and done to those people, with not giving them enough opportunity, with, you know, not giving them enough with the financial inequality. I look at the situation when it comes to this more than anything as financial inequality, which then goes along with brainwashing. And it's interesting, if you look back into history, and I don't want to go too much into this, and look, I'm not an expert, I just know we've studied a lot of different things, because like I've also heard this argument, I've heard, but the Irish were slaves, and the Irish people and some of the Caucasian people, well, I am Irish and Scottish, as well as several other things. So I actually looked into that, and even though that is true, however, and there were other minorities that were slaves as well. However, there was a caste system created amongst the different groups and colors of people, where we still gave the shaft to people who are African American or people who are Hispanic, right? Native Americans. They got a worse shaft. In fact, there's a lot of interesting information if you go and you look up like about the Walton family who started Walmart. If you look at certain information about, you know, how they wanted to control the slaves, because yes, they had all different colors of slaves, more minorities than anything else, but they had several different colors of people. And as we know, slavery is something, I know it's a really hot button topic, but slavery has gone on all over the world with different races. And I've heard people say that too. Well, we've had slavery forever. I'm like, right, but we still have remnants of that are still affecting different communities. The Irish, my ancestors, yeah, they were indentured servants and slaves. Same with some of the Scottish. However, We don't have to, we're not fighting financial inequalities because of that. We're not fighting inequalities to this day because we're Irish. Like, that's not how it works. So I feel like that argument is a bit of a moot point. But what I find interesting in all of this, sorry, I know I'm going off on a bit of a tangent, but this is going to tie into what I'm going to talk about. But what I find interesting about all this is that they started having rebellions of slaves, right? They started having rebellions. They even had, children who were half Caucasian, half another race, and they called that the M word. I don't even want to say it. It's you guys, if you want to say it in the comments, you can. I think it's a word that's inappropriate for a lot of people. It's where you are, your genetics have mixed racial backgrounds, which I think is beautiful, right? But there were all different types of people, and the way that they controlled the rebellions from happening was to create a caste system among them. So that's when they were like, okay, let's start this brainwashing and this divide between these groups and these groups. So both groups are being treated like shit, but we're going to give one more equality. We're going to give one more opportunity. We're still going to keep them down, but we're going to give them a little bit more than the others. So that way you can keep those groups warring with one another. And when they do that, the plantation owners get to sit pretty and get your labor. And isn't that what they're still doing today? Look at what they're doing today. And I feel like this is where I get really sad. I feel like if more people had an understanding of the history of this country, I'm not talking about any other country. Yes, I know slavery has happened all over the place. Like, I've heard this stuff. I've even heard people say stuff like the Native Americans were warring with each other and they took different tribes as slaves and stuff. Okay, great. However, I'm talking about where we are at in modern day United States and how this affects people, the remnants of different things that have happened and how it affects. So I am all for trying to make that right. I am not the person that knows how to do that. I would love to be able to see more money being put into minority communities and given more opportunities, especially more than anything, more financial opportunities. When you have more financial opportunities, you're gonna have less crime. A lot of people don't turn to crime just because they want to be bad. It's because there's just not a lot else out there for you, truly. So, my heart really goes out to people, but I get really sad about this topic because I feel like in these talks, there's something in the United States, and I'm so glad we are having conversations about race and inequality and minority issues because they need to be brought to the surface. I want you to say that. I also want you to say, I hope in everything I've said, I have not come across offensive or ignorant. I am not trying to. I'm on the side of helping every single American and everybody on the planet if it is possible, right? I mean, I'm also somebody who's pro-country. So I'm both. I feel like you can be a good mix of both. You have to protect your country because if you don't, you're going to end up being influenced and falling to other negative countries that we've worked decades to, and centuries to be able to evolve. So I'm a weird mix, right? You can't kind of pin me down. I've also, it's interesting. Like, I don't even want to talk about it's hard. I go back and forth about this topic because I don't think YouTube even likes people talking about the topic of people going from one country to another, let's say. And it's funny because I'm like, I've lived in France, I've lived in Europe, and I'm just kind of like, y'all, the situations that are over there versus what we complain about in America, night and day. You have no idea. Like, Europe is becoming kind of scary. And they have this thing where it's like, well, it's politically incorrect to talk about it. And it's becoming kind of a mess. In the United States, we have nothing similar. And I don't even want to go into detail because, I don't want to, offend anybody. And more than that, I don't want to offend anybody. And I also don't want to make YouTube unhappy. So I don't really want to go too much into detail with it. But for those of you who understand what's going on in Europe, you can infer what I'm saying. I kind of laugh and I'm like, it's night and day. But I feel like this is turning into a really controversial video and it wasn't supposed to. By the way, I love everybody who's watching. I respect you and I support you. So please understand that I really hope my message is coming across correctly in what I'm saying. But this is what I wanted to talk about. So the incarcerated. I feel like one subject that we have completely left out of this conversation when it comes to minorities is the fact that prisons are still a mess. And why is that? Why is it in the mainstream narrative, we hear almost nothing about prison reform? In fact, Trump is one of the only presidents stepping up and actually trying to do some reforms there. And love her or hate her, I got to give mad respect to Kim Kardashian. You can think whatever you want of her, but she is beautiful. She is incredible. That whole family is full of incredibly intelligent people, intelligent businesswomen. I'm not talking about what they did or how they got there, but you've got to be smart to be in their position. And not only that, she's incredibly intellectually intelligent. She is right now trying to pass the bar, and she's been advocating and getting people freed from jail who shouldn't be in prison. It's beautiful. It is a beautiful situation to see. I don't want to go into detail, but there was a young girl, and I believe, and I hope I'm getting the story right, because I'm not like, telling you exact facts. I'm just going to tell you what I remember. I believe as a teenager, she was, I have to be careful how we say this. This young girl was in a situation as a teenager where people were making her do things she didn't want to do on a consistent basis that may or may not be good for her health. Please infer. Please infer. And she ended up fighting back. And when she fought back, the person died. She went to prison for the rest of her life. How is that fair? A child, and of course she's a minority, of course. So Kim was able to help be able to get her released as well as other people. And I am screaming like more power to her, because this is the kind of stuff we also, in tandem with the other things coming up, we need to bring this up. My question is, why are the evil people at the top, the mainstream media and both sides of the government, except for Trump, why is nobody wanting to talk about reform of the prison system? Because let's be very honest, the prison system is about torturing people who are already damaged. It's not helping people. In fact, if you go look at like places like the Netherlands, my God, some of those countries like up north in Europe or the middle of Europe, they're so far socially beyond where we're at. They actually have little communities for the prisoners. They give the prisoners little homes, and they actually rehabilitate them to get them back in society and figure out what was the cause of why you did what you did. Therapy, counseling, and then when they go back, they have like 85% of them don't go back to crime. Like, they have a whole system that really works for people. And here, you create a crime, something is obviously wrong with you to do that, right? Your moral compass is off. There's mental illness. There is, different factors surrounding you as to why you would choose that path. And we're going to take those people who are damaged and torture them more and use them for slave labor. How does this make sense? It doesn't make sense. And it's really upsetting to me that this is not a conversation out in the mainstream. We have people who are imprisoned for years for minor, there are still people in prison for marijuana. Let's be real. For possession of marijuana. Crazy. So I have a very big affinity and a very big issue with the fact that by the way, I'm not talking about you people. I'm not talking about people who are interested or concerned about minority issues. You should be. I'm talking about the mainstream media. They want to act like the kind, tolerant, loving left, right? The people at the top and the mainstream media, not you people who are left-leaning that are watching. You guys are smarter than this, and you're not evil like these people. And they want to put out all these narratives about how they care about minorities and things need to change, and nobody talks about reform in the prison system. And why? Because I don't think they want to rehabilitate those people. Cheap, free labor. That's what they want. That's why they keep them there. That's why nobody says a word ever about this. So my whole point in this tangent is to say, I was really heartbroken and distraught when I saw that prisoners were not going to get stimulus checks. I was like, what in the just the name of the evil government is going on, right? Like, why shouldn't they get checks? And they're American people, they're American citizens too. And considering they make almost zero for what they do, why not? Well, apparently, this is now getting overruled by a federal judge, and a federal judge is speaking up and saying that the Trump administration has to stop withholding the stimulus checks and give them to the incarcerated, which I'm very happy about. And here's the other thing. People might say, well, they're not going to need all that in prison, because I've heard different arguments. First of all, it doesn't matter. It's their money. Secondly, that could be a great, small, albeit small, nest egg for when they get out on the other side. Because when they get out, my understanding, and correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, you're not like given a stipend to go rebuild your life. You're thrown out on your own and figure it out. That could be, that could be helping somebody's last month rent on an apartment. That could be a great little nest egg to be able to help you when you get out if you don't have that help. And a lot of people turn to crime because they don't have anything else. So I want to pull this up because this is where I've vehemently disagreed with the Trump administration about why shouldn't inmates get checks too? And then they were saying, like, if you're an inmate and you got a check, you have to send it back. No, screw that. But yet they were saying to other people, if you got double checks, you don't have to send them back. It doesn't make any sense. So we're going to take damaged people, damage them more, and put them in less opportunity than when they were before. And by the way, I know that's not every prisoner. Some people are just horrible people who like to be mean. As you get older, because listen, when I was younger, I was Pollyanna, rose-colored glasses, and I had this new age belief of see the best in everybody and you'll be able to bring it out. Nope, not how it works, especially in our society with men and their hormones. Not all of you. To the wonderful men, we love you and we welcome you here, but let's be honest, even you wonderful men, you all know some dude who is just awful and doesn't have any self-control, right? But my whole point is to say I'm really, really happy because it looks like they're rectifying this. So if you're incarcerated, why would you be watching my videos? No disrespect. Hi, my prisoners. Hi, if you are, but I don't know if y'all would have access to this. I don't know how it works. You have my love and support, but if you know somebody who's incarcerated, then listen up because I'm going to give you guys some really good information on people who haven't gotten their stimulus checks. So let's check this out. This is from the Washington Post. It says, federal judge tells Trump administration to stop withholding $1,200 stimulus payments totaling $100 million from the incarcerated. The IRS also sets a new deadline of November 21st for low-income Americans to register online for a stimulus payment. November 21st. They have now extended things, guys. So if you haven't gotten your payment, make sure and go to the irs.gov website, go look up stimulus payments, and go look into the non-filers tool for the IRS. And you can do the Get My Payment or Check My Payment as well to see where that is at. So let's dive in. Very excited about this. Yes, people incarcerated in local, state, and federal prisons are entitled to receive the same $1,200 stimulus payments sent to millions of other Americans. The fact that this is even a question makes me mad. That's according to a recent ruling by Judge Phyllis Hamilton. By the way, when I see the word Phyllis, anybody else see Phyllis and you just think The Office? I love The Office. It's just so many Office references. That's according to a recent ruling by Judge Phyllis Hamilton of the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of California, who granted class action standing to this group. Hamilton ordered the Treasury Department and the IRS to reverse their decision to withhold stimulus funds from the prisoners solely based on their incarcerated status. Here's what led to the judge's ruling. The Virus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, the CARES Act, provided economic impact payments, EIP payments, of up to $1,200 for individuals and up to $2,400 for taxpayers filing a joint tax return. The law also includes an extra $500 for each child who was under 17 at the end of 2019. The CARES Act specifically lays out who is and who is not entitled to receive a stimulus payment. The law does not explicitly preclude payments to incarcerated individuals. The IRS issued close to 85,000 payments to incarcerated people, totaling $100 million, according to a June report by the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration, the TIGTA, the TIGTA. I don't know why that makes me giggle. I guess it makes me think of Tigger from Winnie the Pooh, right? Pooh. This was the same TIGTA report. I gotta stop. There's nothing even inappropriate about it. Just the word itself makes me giggle. This was the same TIGTA report that raised concerns about stimulus payments sent to deceased individuals. The IRS then flip-flopped and announced on its website in an FAQ that an incarcerated individual was not eligible for a stimulus payment. The agency asked correctional facilities to intercept payments and release information on irs.gov, telling incarcerated individuals and their spouses that if they got a payment, they needed to return the money. That's when many prisoners signed on to a class action lawsuit to demand the payments they were entitled to receive. Yes, prisoners, yes, I'm happy to hear this. There is no basis in law or fact for the IRS to disallow these payments, said Nina Olson, a former taxpayer advocate who is now executive director of the Centers for Taxpayer Rights. Leona Abram Brandau's 52-year-old son is now serving a life sentence for murder in a Massachusetts prison. She says the $1,200 could help him with the hefty telephone charges her son has to pay so that she can stay in contact with him. She cannot visit right now because of the virus. See, all stuff I didn't know. I didn't realize that you had to pay a ton of money for phone calls. I mean, it makes sense. I knew that that was like a limited thing, right? And then I think I watched one season of Orange is the New Black where like people can snuggle. They can snuggle with their phones. They can smuggle in phones and that sort of thing. I don't know how realistic that is. Who knows? You know, Hollywood always skews everything, but that's like my understanding of how the prison world works. But it says, Leona Abram Brandau's 52-year-old son is serving a life sentence and she can't visit him right now, so the telephone charges are hefty. People in prison are being charged money for a lot of things, Brandau said in an interview from her Massachusetts home. Unless the Trump administration wins an appeal, the judge said the government has to reconsider reissuing payments to incarcerated individuals that were withheld, intercepted, or returned, said Kelly Dermody, a partner with San Francisco-based Leaf, Cabrasser, Hyman, and Bernstein, one of the law firms representing the class action members. As a purely legal matter, this lawsuit stops executive agencies from improperly rewriting congressional legislation to suit whatever whim they might have, Dermody said in an interview. As a human matter, this case addressing the devastating intersection of poverty, mass incarceration, and toxic health outcomes, which disproportionately affects Black, Indigenous, Latinx, non-binary, and transgender people, excluding from assistance the people and their families most at economic and health risk for the virus, is an unspeakable cruelty, as well as being illegal under the authorizing statute. I got weird with my words because I'm like, I don't know if I should say these words because I don't want to upset YouTube. The case also benefits people who have been incarcerated and did not previously file a claim because the IRS told them they were ineligible, Dermody said. The challenge now is to get information out to eligible, incarcerated individuals who weren't automatically sent an economic impact payment because they weren't required to file a tax return for 2018 or 2019. The IRS used information from those tax years to quickly disperse stimulus payments. In another development, the impacts people in correctional facilities. The IRS has set a new deadline of November 21st for people who don't normally file a tax return or don't receive certain federal benefits to use the non-filer tool at irs.gov to register for a stimulus payment. And guys, let me go ahead and just pull up that link so we can have that for you. So it is going to be irs.gov/blank virus /non-filers-enter-payment-info- here. My gosh, could they make that any longer? Just so you know, if you need to look up that information or do the non-filers tool payment, that's where you're going to go. So you need to go to irs.gov to register for a stimulus payment. The IRS created the online portal for individuals who are not typically required to file returns. The economic impact payment is an advanced credit for 2020. Under the CARES Act, payments must be made by December 31st. If people don't receive a payment by the end of the year, they still have an opportunity to get the stimulus funds. However, they won't see the money until they file a 2020 federal return next year. Many incarcerated individuals are not allowed access to a computer, so they would have to file a paper return. However, the IRS not only extended the deadline for use of the online tool, this means that people covered by the lawsuit who did not file a 2018 or 2019 tax return will have to rush and postmark a paper return by October 15th to receive a stimulus payment for next year. If you know somebody who may be impacted by this court case, please go to caresactprisoncase.org. On the site is information about the class action and how incarcerated people should fill out IRS Forms 1040 to get a stimulus payment, including where to add the personal corrections number that is given to each prisoner so that the payment is sent to the right place. I volunteer to teach financial literacy in several prisons in Maryland, so I know firsthand that many incarcerated individuals depend on financial assistance from relatives for personal care items like deodorant, shampoo, toothpaste. The stimulus funds would relieve some of the financial pressure on their friends and family who are very likely struggling themselves under the current economic crisis. I also know the maintaining contact with family members helps reduce the recidivism rates. So I want to go over this stuff again so you guys are aware. If you're watching and you're in prison, again, hello, we are so happy to have your viewership, welcome. But if you know somebody as well that, this could affect, make sure and send them this information. It's caresactprisonerscase.org. So make sure and go there, excuse me, as well as the non-filer tool. Like I had said, I gave that link will be in the description, and go to irs.gov to get more information on your stimulus payments. That non-filers tool is for people who don't have to file taxes, so you can be eligible going forward to get your stimulus check. It also allows you to put in your dependents, because that's another thing. If you have dependents and you only got that $1,200 stimulus check, well, each dependent, you know, if they're under 16, I believe it's going to be $500. So make sure and use the non-filer tool. Or another thing, there is a phone number directly for stimulus payments with the IRS. That launched in May. So make sure and go check that out. I will have links in the description and information to all of this in the description. So you can do that. You can just call. Now, in the beginning, the wait times were super long. I'm going to say I doubt they are, but I haven't called anytime recently to know, but you probably have a good shot to get good information there. So just make sure and do your due diligence and get the right information so you can have all of that and be ready to go. Okay, guys, that's what I wanted to go over, and I wanted to go over that you now have the deadline of the 21st, so you guys can get your stimulus payments, especially before Thanksgiving and Christmas, because it's going to be hard to do holidays this year, especially with everything just dragging on and the government dragging their feet. So a little bit of good news for you guys today. Okay, guys, if you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up, like the video, subscribe, hit notifications so you can be notified what is coming out of the pipeline for you and your stimulus money. Sound off, leave a comment. I want to hear, do you think that we should give prisoners money? Do you think that we shouldn't? What do you think about the rant I've given? Let me know. As well, guys, please share this content with as many people that you think this could help. People who are on unemployment, waiting for unemployment, waiting for stimulus checks, SBA loan and grants, and everything in between. Please share this content. I've got tons of tools and resources to help everybody through this difficult time, and I would love nothing more than to do that. And guys, the more you like, subscribe, comment, hit notifications, share the content, the more the channel grows, the more things I can do to give back to you guys. For instance, somewhere in today's videos, I'm giving away a $100 gift card, so stay tuned and you will see if you have won. Make sure, and by the way, I hear people say I never hear the winners. You haven't watched all the way through. You have to watch from start to finish to hear if you have won. And remember the rules. If you are a winner, you have 72 hours to claim your card by emailing me. So good luck. I want everybody to win, but I can't be bankrupt. So I'm rooting for you guys. I hope somebody who really needs this gets this card. As well, guys, you can find me on Facebook, Katie's Insight. Like the page, join the group. The group right now is Katie's Corner. Will turn into Katie's Insight. Go in there, ask all the stimulus questions you want. We're all helping each other. It's one awesome party, and I can't wait to see you there. Okay, I'm going to end this video here for now. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Every time I end these videos, I'm humble knowing you guys have allowed me to be able to do this as my profession, at least for now. I'm so excited, and I'm so in debt to you guys, and I just appreciate every one of you. I appreciate every like, every comment, every subscribe, every time you hit notifications. It's also helpful. I thank you so much. Lots of love, and until next time, we're just going to keep going over your stimulus and see what happens. Okay, guys. Bye.